What's up, guys? Welcome to part 3 of the Lone Star Gymnastics Training Essentials for Employees. Part 3 is going to be talking about student and instructor interaction. So in this presentation, we're going to be talking about some spotting basics and the do's of communicating with young kids. There's going to be a lot to talk about on this one, so I hope you guys are ready. It's only 17 slides, so we'll be right. Spotting basics. The no. Spotting is an essential part of gymnastics instruction and is something that you need to be doing 90% of the time you're on the event. If you are not physically engaging the students and helping them learn new skills, then you are not doing your job correctly. Spotting is a learned skill, and there are a few things that you need to be aware of when spotting to keep you safe from allegations of sexual and physical abuse. There's a double slide. Spotting is a learned skill, and there are a few things that you need to be aware of when spotting to keep you safe from allegations of sexual and physical abuse. Be aware that you are not to touch the student in the following places: the groin, the buttocks, both males and females, and the chest on the females. There is good touch and bad touch. You need to know what is acceptable and what isn't. So let's talk about it. In this series with our staff, we talked a little bit about spotting in certain instances at other gyms that people have had abuse allegations thrown at them on, and we won't talk about it too much on this forum. So, what happens whenever you do spot somebody and accidentally do touch them inappropriately? But it was not inappropriate because you were spotting them, right? And you were saving their lives, right? So, accidents do happen with spotting, and occasionally an athlete will need to be saved, and the only choice you have is to make the catch any way possible. How you handle this will determine the outcome. 1, move your hand away from the problem area. Don't linger. It's creepy. 2, recognize that you had to make the save and apologize for the location that your hand landed. Most students at a high level know that you did what you had to do for their safety. Don't amplify the issue by making a huge spectacle of the situation. I have some typos on this. That's not good. Entry level instructors should not be in these situations. Most of these situations are kids in the air flipping and twisting, and they lose track where they're at, or they slipped off the bar, and a coach has a 16th of a second to react, and they're grabbing anything they can to keep the head and the kid off their head, neck, spine, right? So you're probably not going to be in these situations right now. You're going to be just spotting hands, full rolls, backward rolls. So as long as you're aware, I keep my hands where I'm supposed to keep them, and I watch out for these parts, then you'll be okay. Just be hyper aware where you're doing at the beginning. It kind of becomes natural. Accidents do happen, but we're not going to make we're not going to make a huge scene, be loud about it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And we're going to move on. Most of the time, the athletes understand. So spotting basics. Spotting is the act of assisting a student in the development of a skill. Spotting is not doing a skill for a student. You have one priority in spotting your students, which is to keep the student off their head, neck, and spine while reducing the impact of the landing. So, in the event that you cannot keep them off the head, neck, and spine, your goal is to reduce the impact of the actual landing, of the impact to the floor, right? So sometimes this isn't possible, and it should be difficult for you to watch a student in your care take a hit. It's tough. Sometimes you did everything in your power. You weren't able to get there fast enough. You were on the other side of the bar or something like that, and just couldn't make the save. And the kid may get hurt, injured, and may just smack their leg and be in pain for a minute. But it should impact you, and you should be attentive to their needs post-injury. A big reminder here: spotting is not doing a skill for a student, meaning you are not to throw a child through a skill that they are not prepared for. It's not cool, it's not fun, it's not exciting, and it will get you sued, and it will get you fired from Lone Star Gymnastics, just to let you know. We follow progressions to prevent this from being an issue and have not had an issue like this in a long time. So if a kid is working on a back tuck, you have no business chunking through it all back, right? Because there's a set progression. So don't jump forward. Make sure you're doing every little step possible. Blame the progression on why you're not going to do something. All right. Learning to spot is something that all of us must continue to progress in, and often we must dedicate extra time in the gym to learn. An important thing to remember is that a forward roll, back roll, bridge kickover, and a handstand provides you the basics of spotting like 99% of skills that you will need to learn how to spot. So we start with those. Once you can spot those in your sleep, we move on to bigger skills. If you're uncomfortable spotting a bridge kickover, a handstand, a back roll, a forward roll, then you're going to be uncomfortable spotting a front flip, a back flip, a giant, and all those other skills. So if you want an opportunity to learn how to spot a specific skill, ask a manager and they'll provide you with that. It may not be at the time you want. It may mean you have to come in really early or stay late or something like that, or come in on one of your normal days off. But we're going to provide you with that opportunity because we want you to progress as a coach. With that being said, like in part one, we talked about being a student of the sport and being a student as an employee. We're going to provide you that time, and we're going to see who's dedicated and who really wants to move up. So if you really want to like progress into like an advanced coaching role or a senior coaching role, then you're really going to need to show us that you want to learn. And oftentimes that's looking up stuff on the side, doing stuff that senior coaches do, which is look up skills, look up progressions, look up spotting techniques, and then applying those in the gym. Communicating with children. This begins the path of talking about what conversations that we should and should not be happening on the gym property. And I say the gym property because ears are everywhere. Little ears are everywhere. Big ears are everywhere. So conversations that we don't talk about. What you did last night. Nobody wants to hear about it. Your friends don't want to hear about it while they're on gym property. The managers don't want to overhear that, and they will confront you on that. What you are going to do tonight, so keep those conversations out. Any sexual or political preferences, don't have the conversation on gym property. It will get you in trouble. We have ears everywhere, and the kids will go tell their parents about what you're talking about, whether they understood it or not, or they will tell their parents about something they thought you were talking about that you really weren't, and then your managers will get phone calls, and they'll be having conversation with you about it. And the last thing we want to do is be on your case about something that you never said. So just stay completely away from those conversations. Don't talk about it. If you want to talk to a coworker about what you did last night or what you're going to do tonight or one of those other subjects, then you need to wait till you're home or in your car and call them. And I say in the car because if you talk in the parking lot, they're going to hear it and they're going to have the same complaints. All right? We are good, upstanding, moral citizens with good ethics that stay away from all those other conversations. So this is a huge topic among yourself, but it all boils down to one thing. Children don't pay attention to boring things. If you are not fun, exciting, adventurous, engaging, then the parent or the child is not going to pay attention to you, and it is going to make your job harder, and it is going to make your night long. When you're boring and you're just going through the motions and you're not engaging, the kids are bored, you're chasing them down because they're bored and they're finding other ways to entertain themselves. You essentially are there to entertain that child and teach them something at the same time. So be animated, be exciting, be something worth paying attention to. So if you're having trouble getting a group of kids' attentions, be worth their attention. Be worth their attention. Having trouble getting a kid to listen, have their task be more exciting. If it's not exciting, then make it more exciting. Find ways to be creative. If it's adding a foam block and having them move something with their kicking a foam block on an exercise, if it keeps their attention and it makes them learn and it makes them do it 5, 10 more times a minute, then they should do it. Communicating with children. The entire time a class is going, you are talking with your students. Most of the time, you'll be instructing them on how to improve their gymnastics, but there will be times where you get to know them on a more personal level. My favorite conversation with a group of kids is about their t-shirts, boys' t-shirts, right? Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, all those ones, I'm always talking to them about this stuff because after the first several times through a rotation, I'm spotting a bridge kicker. There's not a whole lot to talk about, and I'm gonna know that I'm gonna learn their names, and I'm gonna learn their favorite action hero, and we're gonna try to relate to it. We're gonna talk about why they like it, and we're gonna take that opportunity to learn about them and engage them. And they're moving, they're having crazy, they're fun, they're exciting, but I'm learning about them and I'm building a relationship with them. Getting to know these students should be something that you enjoy. You have an opportunity, and I say an opportunity because it doesn't always happen, to make a positive impact on the kids that you are working with. Know that you're making an impact on their lives one way or another. They're either going to love you, hate you, or not care about you. We want them to love you. We want them to be so excited that they get to see Coach John today that they are willing to do almost anything for it. And I will say this, there are many kids that we work with who all they do is they go home, they wake up, they go to school, they go home, and they have no opportunity outside of school and home. Their parents are working 2 jobs, trying to support themselves, and somehow they get put in gymnastics, and you have 1 hour to make that gymnastics the highlight of their week. And we hear stories about all the time about how gymnastics is the one thing their child has to look forward to each week. And it is a sacrifice for them to put their kid in here. But they do it because the kid's having a blast and we're making an impact on them, a positive impact on them. So body language, facial expressions, and tone is something that gets a lot of us in trouble. Remember, we have 2 clients. We have the students and the parents. We can be doing a great job with a student, but all the parent sees from across the gym is a grumpy coach. We as instructors need to be aware of this and make sure that our body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice makes you look engaged, exciting, and professional. Getting down on a student's level is something that we should benefit from as an instructor. Adults are intimidating to a student due to their large stature, and by coming down on their level, we appear less of a threat. Fortunately, in gymnastics, we're often like on our knees on a mat or something spotting, and we're already coming down on a level. But when you're in like the lobby, and like the last 5, like we talked about in the previous lecture, was talking and making sure the kids included in the parent conversation. One of the things we can do when we say goodbye is we can get down on their level and shake their hands and give them a fist bump and make sure we're coming down to their level, and that just kind of sets the tone. Now you can have like a great inflection in your voice and facial expression, and be over there like hands in your pockets, like hands on your hips, like slouching, like not looking good. And from across the gym, the parents don't hear or see any of this or the really excitement in your face. And then we get a complaint on that. And the kid could leave and say, I had a blast, but the parent all they saw was their instructor looking bored. So we need to make sure that we're up and we're being vocal and we're energetic. And if you're one of those guys that struggles with the body language side, be loud enough for the parent to hear. Because if your inflection's good, the parent hears it, you'll be fine, right? And then work on it. Just work on it. You know, it's easier to aspire, be big, and when you're walking around, like, just have some presence about you. So for our clients to have a positive experience, we need to make sure that we're using language that builds our students up. There may be times in our teen program where we need to push our students, but there are 0 times in our class program where we need to use a tone of voice or language that should only be used to push an athlete to the next level. Even in our team programs, we need to make sure that we are staying far away from the lines that Safe Sport has set, and we're using language and tone of voice that will bring an athlete up and not tear an athlete down. You can have a harsh tone with a student or a more aggressive, or I don't know what the word I'll use there, high-end coach's tone, but you're bringing that kid up. You can be disciplining and building them up and bringing them to that next level in that situation, but it's not like 100%. We're not tearing them down. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this now? Hey, I really need you to do this. I keep telling you not to do this, and I need you to focus on this, and just be making sure that you are bringing them up to that level and you're not tearing them down. And sometimes it's a self gut check. You have to say, oh, I was on the wrong side of the line on that one. And you kind of got to like repent a little bit and maybe talk to the athlete and say, I really want to push you. I feel like I messed up here, and I'll apologize, and I want to move forward, and I want to make sure that I'm building you up. Um, so this part, when we're trying to find that line for team staff and recreational programs, we got to make sure that there are two different programs. They're going the same direction, but we have a little more leeway with our competitive athletes because we have a better relationship and a better understanding, and we also have the additional pressure of a competition season and where we're going to be with that, right? Our voice is a really powerful tool and it's something we need to use effectively. How can you maintain control of the area the size of a spring floor, 40 by 40, if you're not being loud enough for the group to hear? So if you're one of those instructors who are not willing to be loud, it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain control of the class. And not only is you got to be loud when the gym's empty, you got to be loud whenever there's floor music going on, music in the preschool area going on, and music and rec side going on. We got to make sure that you're loud enough with all of the buzz and all the energy, and that energy is something to be consumed and expounded upon. And we want to make sure that we're speaking loudly and clearly, and we're giving everybody the opportunity to hear you. If they can't hear you, they're gonna like close down instead of like growing up. If they're coming up to your energy level, right? That might be the way to put it. We'll see. As we come to a wrap on this, in the comments below, what tips and tricks have you learned through your experience in working with kids or children? Um, Thank you guys for this. This is, I believe, part 3. We have, I think, 2 more parts. And I'm trying to get these all out for you guys so that our staff can watch them and you guys can watch them, and this can help us as an industry progress. Thanks, guys.